Welcome to the Christ in Private Practice podcast, where we empower Christian counselors and share stories of God's work in mental health. I'm your host, Camille McDaniel, licensed professional counselor. Let's dive in. Welcome back to another episode. Today we are going to be talking to a wonderful clinician and social worker about her journey. You'll hear way more about that. It's going to be a very interesting, empowering journey from her very start to where she is today as a clinician who is helping individuals who are families and children. She's doing a great work, and I just thought it would be wonderful for us to hear this story. You know, sometimes as clinicians, life is rough. We're helping other people, but maybe it's not always going so well on our end. And it's nice to also hear from day to day from other clinicians who have overcome obstacles and are doing quite well at this stage, just to kind of encourage us and others that there are no major things that can stop you if this is what the Lord has set out for you to do. So today we're going to be talking to Taisha Bryant and listening to her wonderful journey. And Taisha Bryant, otherwise known as the Parent Healer, is an accomplished author and speaker. She's a licensed master social worker. She's also the CEO of We Have a Purpose, Inc. She leads efforts in providing vital prevention and intervention services to at-risk families. And then through Resilient Family Wellness, she offers expert coaching and consulting. She specializes in parenting and emotional distress. Her degree is from Florida A&M University and Troy University, which underscores her dedication to social work. She's hailing from Pittsview, Alabama. Taisha Bryant balances her roles as a wife and a mom with her commitment to community service, empowering families to thrive despite adversity. So thank you so much, Taisha, for joining this episode.
So much, right?
Absolutely. So let's jump right on in, because you really do have a story that just speaks volumes about perseverance and overcoming. So can you start by sharing with us, just share your story, just your journey? You were a teen mom. So as a teen mom, I guess just start there and tell us, how you just navigated those challenges.
Absolutely. So, again, I am in Bryant, and I was a teen mom. I was pregnant at 13, and I had my daughter at 14. I had very supportive parents. My siblings, they were supportive to assist me along my journey, as well as my maternal aunt, and my best friend. She also played a major role in that whole process. I was still able to go to high school, normal Russell County High School out of Steele, Alabama. I was able to participate in different extracurricular activities because it aligned with my child's daycare schedule. My mom made sure I had everything I needed, as well as my child. Um, the support I had from my mom and my family was top tier. And my church family. When I went to church, they welcomed me back with open arms. It was no, you got to sit out. It was, what can we do to help you along this journey?
Mhm.
So my faith in Christ continued to just increase because, again, like I said, I was 13. I was baptized when I was like 9. So I've always been a church girl, but being a mom caused my faith and caused me to actually have a relationship with Christ. So being in labor, instead of me screaming and acting a fool like most people do, especially at my age, my mom said, "Baby, you called on Jesus the entire time." She said, "I had experienced labor the way that you did, I would have had a lot of y'all." And that was only God's grace that kept me through pregnancy, delivery, and up until this point. And I'm just so grateful and so thankful for God just keeping me. You feel me?
Right, right.
That I'm 33 now and I'm an empty nester. Like, it's bomb. Like, it
Yeah,
is totally a different feeling because it's
yeah,
like I don't go back to that teenage girl anymore. I am an adult. I am a grown woman who's gone through some things, and with the things that I have endured, it only triumphed me to the point I am now in life.
that's
Which is
amazing.
a
Yeah,
life social work and an author, a speaker, parent healing, all of those things. So my journey, the things that I went through, the things that were tea for everybody else, was
mm,
really I set it up as a testimony, and I said with proud, hey, I was that person. And to this day, I still help teen parents because I would never turn my back on somebody who's a teen parent. I would never shame them for being a teen parent. But in the same breath, I'm not going to encourage you to be a teen
mm,
parent
yeah,
because it was last week as
yeah,
it
I'm
outside.
sure. Yeah,
Um, Yes, like
mm,
I come from a praying family and that just continued. And to be able to raise a child who's a praying young lady is just such a blessing altogether. So baby being off in college, restarting life again in so many
mhm,
words,
mhm.
focusing on the things that God birthed me, allowed me to birth while I was going through the process, which is the nonprofit. We have a purpose and my coaching and consultant, Resilient Family Wellness, all while being a wife.
Woo! And that's a lot now. Now that is a lot. And I think, and I want to just highlight some things that you mentioned when you were talking about your journey, because I think that is what contributes to the success of your journey. You mentioned how close your family was and how much they supported you. And like you said, I would never turn my back on a teen mom. I wouldn't necessarily encourage them to walk this journey, but hey, if you're here, if this is the journey that you have, I'm going to support you. And I love also to hear that your experience, which I know some people have their own stories about this, but your experience with your church was one where, um, after you went through all of that, they were there,
Yeah,
so you did not experience anybody turning you away, making you feel guilty or anything like that. Again, it's like, hey, we're here. So
right.
we're going to embrace you, and I know that that's not everybody's story, but I'm really glad that that was yours. Um, you know, all of that, it sounds like because you came from a praying family, because you had them wrapping their arms around you, and then your best friends. So you had friends, and then you had church. I think that also speaks to the success that people can have when there is community versus us having to do things all by ourselves. And I'll
Right.
say this too, because congratulations to you, because as you said, you're an empty nester now. And I'm not saying that's the congratulations part. We love our children.
Right.
But I did notice, I think you must be on one of my social media platforms and we must be connected because I saw a picture of your daughter and she had like cords or something. So she's obviously a very bright young lady. And I was just like, look at that. That's so awesome. So I was cheering for, I don't know, anyone's children. I'm up here cheering for them anyway, but I thought, now that's wonderful. So not only what the start was bumpy, you were a teen mom, like you said, pregnant at 13, had your child at 14, but because of community, it allowed you to still go forward. You didn't have to stop your education. You didn't have to stop your life. And you were able to also, along with your community, give your daughter a foundation where it seems as though she has excelled quite a bit as well. Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it goes back to it takes a village to raise a child. My
mhm,
village, because again, I was a child. I was still being raised
yes,
while being a mom, trying to raise someone else, and I'm still being raised. But my foundation was already set. My foundation was set in love and in Christ. So it was just a continuation of things being built,
yeah,
and my mom nurturing. And of course, the stones were thrown by family
mhm,
members. And I'm
mhm,
almost from church folks and other folks who had something to say
yeah,
negatively, but it was more positive things that
mm,
was spoken. over my life and that I actually internalized to get me to the next point that I got to in life. The
Yes.
negative, all it did was catapult me. It made the
Mm.
progress a little faster. God was like, you know
Yeah.
what? Put your mouth on my child.
Yes.
I'm gonna show you.
Okay.
He's going to prepare a table before
Mhm.
her in the presence of her enemy. And it's so
Yeah.
crazy, the table that God has prepared. I don't mind pulling the chair out and let the same ones that talked about me have a seat at. So,
Right.
it is only God's grace. And the course you're talking about, as far as my daughter, she graduated with her associate's degree before she graduated with her high school diploma. And all of
Stop.
her
All
yes,
right.
yes. So her courses were honor course.
Right.
Our National Honor Society, Beta Club. She's also was pinned as a phlebotomist. So she she shot past me because I started college before I finished high school, and God just continued that cycle and allowed her to finish college before she finished high school.
Wow.
So
That's
I'm not the
awesome.
one to brag. Listen, when I
That's all
tell you
right.
God is so, because I'm not the one to brag on my child. And the things she do or the things I do, I brag about God's grace and the things
Right.
that I've seen Him in our lives.
Right.
That's
Because even
simple.
you,
The
as far as
brag.
the honors, you also graduated with honors too, but you graduated
Yes,
with college honors. So here you
yes,
graduated with college honors. She graduated before she even got out of high school. She already had her associates and she had all these honors. And it's like,
yes,
yes, that's phenomenal. Yeah, that's
yes.
awesome.
It's a generational challenge. My mom, I think she graduated high school with a 3.9, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna beat yours," and I graduated with like a 4.1. And my daughter was like, "I got both of y'all." I got like I think she had like a 4.3 or 4.4. So it was just like, yes, I'm just grateful. And even along that journey, of being in high school and things of that nature. Of course, dating was a no go.
Mhm.
Because nobody wanted to date somebody, with a kid. Now they mama's looking like, oh, she's
Mhm.
fast and this is that and the third, and that was not a thing.
Yes.
So, because nobody really knew how I ended up in that space to even become a teen mom, the trauma and the things that I went through prior to conceiving my child, that led me to that space. And it was okay that people didn't know because,
Of
I
course.
mean, it is what it is. It was
Yeah.
something that happened, but
Mhm.
I was I became victorious. So I was okay with it. Now, hindsight 22, I'm okay with it. But then I wasn't because I was trying to figure out what's wrong with me. Like, why nobody want to date me?
Oh.
Like, I'm not good enough. I graduated, I got this, I got that. But none of that mattered because God was preparing me for a time such as 7 years ago when I got married.
Yeah.
I had to go relationships. I had to go through the heartbreaks and, the daddy trauma because my parents divorced. I had to endure all of those things to make me who I am today. College, listen, when I talk about my degrees and I stand 10 toes on it, it's because of the hell I went through to get them. It was
Mm.
not even
Okay. Okay.
God. I had
Yeah.
that same support system as a teenager I had when I had to go away to fam for
Okay.
9 months to finish my degree. My best friend, which is my daughter godmom, her, my siblings, my child's father, my mom, they made sure my baby was okay while I was gone.
Mm. Allowing you to pursue those
Yes,
dreams and not okay, so that you can
yes.
have the foundation that you needed to keep moving forward. And so even in building that foundation and being able to go off to college, what made you choose of all the things that you could have chosen? What made you pursue social work?
So I wanted to do something in the medical field, but
Okay.
I didn't like the blood to throw up that whole
Right.
portion. My uh, still has been all of my life. And I've always seen us helping somebody. Somebody was always coming to the house. We was always helping somebody do something. Um, I had cousins who kind of had issues within the Department of Children, Family, and Services, so we
Okay.
would help them with certain issues. I had a cousin who was in college for social work, And I was like, oh, so this is a thing. And as a
Okay.
teen mom, there was a social worker I met who was linking me to different resources. And I was like, that. Like, it looks like
Mhm.
something I want to do. And at the age of 18, I began working at Tears Inc. It's a nonprofit in the Phoenix City area where I would go into the schools and teach prevention. It was an abstinence-based curriculum that I was facilitating. And to see the kids gravitate towards the information and being able to make a difference and have kids pull me to the side to have these sidebar conversations, it was like, this is what I want to do. Now let me
Okay.
agree. Let me go
Mhm.
find the paper to give me the money I need to go with what I'm
Yes.
already.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that part is the important part. But
Yeah.
I mean, you found a way. You made a way and you kept on persevering. And then there came a time where you created your own nonprofit. So can you
Ma'am.
talk to us about, what was the inspiration behind all of that? What were your thoughts before you even went in? Because developing a nonprofit that's not easy. So, what kind of inspired you there?
So we were in high school, 12th grade, and our advisor, she was like, "Okay, so you guys come up with something to help the community, come up with something different." So it was Young Women with the Purpose. That was the name that and it would be girls in the school. We would meet who had different traumas and different things that happened to them in life. So it
Mm.
was some had self-esteem issues. I think I was the only teen parent that was known to be a teen parent at that time. Son was molested, a whole bunch of different people, and we just came together. We made like a little community within the school, and then we would go out. We adopted a family for Christmas
Oh,
and
wow.
just doing things like that in the community. And when I was at FAM, so fast forward 2014, 2013, 2014, I'm doing my internship
Okay.
at this Florida, and I was like, we don't have a program like this back home. And my supervisor was like, well, take what you see that you want and make it yours. So I
Okay.
was like, I'm gonna do that. So I did a needs assessment to see, exactly what we needed. I contacted our state representative for the area, the local
Okay.
judge, sheriff's office. So I did all the footwork, had petitions signed, for this particular program. And the thing was, I can't just say young women with a purpose because I'm serving more than just young ladies.
Okay.
So that's where we have a purpose come from because it's not just the agency, not just Taisha,
Wow.
but the community, the children. We all have a purpose. We just
Nice.
gotta find kids and actually operate in it. So that's how we have a purpose was birthed. And the initial program was to service individuals who have committed a misdemeanor, juvenile, to keep them from
Mm.
having a criminal background, keep them from having to miss school, keep mom and dad from having to pay out so much money. We provided them services. And they had to do like community service and write letters. We would go
Wow.
to the to monitor their behavior because it ain't back in the day where mom and them can just hop off work to go check
Right.
on girl or baby boy at school. So we
Yeah.
were that and in doing that, I was speaking to a kid and he was like, well, it's my mama. It's my mama the problem. So I began to sit down and have a conversation with mom. And that's where my parenting piece was ignited because now I'm looking
Mm.
for resources to help me with, parenting. And the one thing I found and I built on was the 5 love languages. So
Okay.
I built my program around the 5 love languages. And it was in the pandemic, 2020, I released my first book, which is Imperfectly Perfect 3 Steps on the Parenthood Journey.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's literally like a
Okay.
book.
So it's all coming together. Yes.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I released that book because I remember that child saying, well, it's mama. I saw a video clip on Facebook where a mom and daughter were going back and forth. The mom was accusing the daughter of sleeping with her boyfriend. And my husband and I happened to be watching Scared Straight, and I saw the issues with the parents, and I was like, you know what?
Mhm.
Help these parents, because a lot of times as parents, our trauma, the things that we have not let go of, those
Mhm.
very things are seeping onto our kids, and we wonder why they bucking the system.
Yes.
They buck the system because of your trauma. They are experiencing secondary trauma, and nobody is checking it.
Yes. Wow.
Uh,
So I mean,
or-
you were in there observing, listening, and then took the next step of doing. I mean,
Absolutely.
and it sounds like it's all coming back full circle. Now, do you ever have an opportunity where your own personal story, I mean, is that just your motivation for all that you do, or do you ever have an opportunity to share your story to uplift others or empower them, or to, I guess, act as an example that no, it can be done?
Right. So I do share my story. At one point I thought it was time for me to retire it. I was like, well, I think it's time for me to retire my story because my baby is, she's an adult now, and
Mhm.
I'm not as
Mhm.
it's good. And God was like, you can't retire what I gave you. And I was
Okay.
just like, okay, still share my story because that's my foundation.
Mhm.
That that
Mhm.
that is unlock what God had in me. And
Yes.
everything was, build upon that particular story. So I share it as background information.
Okay.
And depending on the audience that I'm in, I share it to inspire them to get to the next level. I had a teen mom recently inbox me, and she was like, "Hey, Miss Taisha, I seen your story. I'm going through. Could you help me?" And I was just like, "Sure, baby girl, we're
Yes.
about you at life now,
Mhm.
So I'm work with her. I had a court order. Someone actually recommended me to be a mentor to a teen mom. Um, yeah, so I even done parenting, a whole 8-week parenting course with this group called Young Lives.
Okay.
And it's work with teen parents. So I've had different opportunities. I'm always open to opportunities to work with teen parents, whether it's the mom or the dad or both,
Okay.
because at the end of the day, you're here, but you're
Mhm.
not here to
Mhm.
stay. It's
Right.
so much more
Right.
in head, ahead, and of course, being a teen mom was definitely my driving force because I wanted my daughter to have a real model and not necessarily a
Yeah.
role model.
Yeah.
And I had to be so I actually started Taisha's Bounce Back Convention back home. I said I'm going to share my story at home. I
Mm.
had never shared. So
Okay.
I came back and I shared Taisha's Bounce Back Convention. And that's where I shared my story for the first time in my hometown.
Wow.
And right, so that catapult Taisha's Bounce Back Convention this upcoming year will make
Wow.
3. So
Oh,
I have
boy,
women.
that's awesome.
Thank you. I have women traveling from all over to share their testimony, their
Oh,
bounce backs, to help inspire the next person. Because all
yes.
of us have stories. All of us have
Right.
gone through something at some point, and we didn't go through it just for ourselves. So
Right.
a lot of others have never spoken before, and I offer them that platform. And from that platform, they've been booked to speak in other locations. So I'm really all about just uplifting and building
Right.
community and helping our parents heal so their kids can live. Once
Yes.
we do, then we'll be okay. I think we'll be
Yes.
all right.
Yes. I would agree. And I think that the importance, like you shared already, your story tells of how everything started. Your story tells of all the strength that the Lord gave you to make it through and continue. And I've noticed that in my years as a clinician, that there's a certain population of individuals who hear it better from someone who's been there. Whether that's teens or whether that's parents. Sometimes they understand that, they can make it through and these are the steps, but they're like, yeah, but have you ever tried it? It's
Yeah,
like, yeah, or and the kids they're oftentimes very real. It's like, yeah, but how do you know? And it's just like, okay, they want to, and really in that, sometimes what they're saying is, give me a real life example of somebody who has made it through what I'm going through so that I at least know it's possible, And
Right.
so, yeah, I love that. Well, can you give us advice for those who they might be feeling a bit overwhelmed or uncertain about their future? And honestly, at this point in time, whether it's a clinician or whether it's a client, because I know I was online just sometime this past week, and I saw that a clinician had written, how hard it was to show up for clients when your life is falling apart. And so, if for yourself, just what piece of advice would you give for those they're overwhelmed, they're uncertain about their future, whether they're navigating motherhood, whether they're navigating being a professional? Um, what would you give as far as just a word?
So for starters, I remember in college they would say, every therapist need a therapist, and I'm just like, I don't need no therapist.
Mm,
I'm good. I'm good. Now that I am older,
well,
that thing resonates a little different. So for
mhm,
all of my fellow therapists, all of my clinicians, social workers, counselors, whichever life coaches, whatever category you fall in, get you professional help as well. Whether you feel
yeah.
like your life is all together or not, please have someone that you can go
Yeah.
sit on their couch because
Mm-hmm.
they already sat on yours and now you got your stuff and they stuff and your mama them stuff. So go ahead to
Yeah.
somebody who is going to help you release that. And for me, mine was initially a life coach, a
Okay.
spiritual life, um, affectionately known as my T mommy, Shalonda Williams Leonard. She's a life coach, she's a spiritual advisor, and that's who I went through first. And
Okay.
I really thought because I'm a social worker, I know all this stuff. I know the tools to
Mm-hmm.
use.
Mm-hmm.
Are you really using them? And it was like, okay, so she had to put me in line. Even when I wrote Resilience Over Regret, when I actually shared my testimonial,
Yes.
coached me through that. And she said,
Okay.
Taisha, if you're going to share your story, you got to be real and you got to be ready for what comes with it. So a lot of stuff that we go through throughout life, it lies dormant because we have never dealt with it. We
Yeah.
suppress it and kept moving. And in that suppression, it comes up in little different pieces.
Yeah.
I would definitely suggest getting you a therapist, a life coach, for my parents and for those who are not parents. I have 3 F for you. And that is to have a foundation. We
Mm,
all know when it's time to build a house, the foundation has to be laid first. And it's okay if you feel the need to go through and tear down some things, whether it was things you learned at church, things you learned at home, things you learned from just your community. If you feel it is not working for you, it is not
mhm.
beneficial, please tear it down and rebuild. It is okay, but your foundation has to be solid. Start
Yeah.
with love first. That's the key for you. Build your foundation on love.
Yeah.
Okay. Secondly, become free from your past baggage. The things that
Mm,
hurt you, the things that attempted to tear you down, that molestation as a child, that abandonment from your mom or your daddy, the feeling like nobody wants me, I'm not cute enough, that depression,
mm,
all of those things that you are dealing with silently, you have to be free. I am today October the 8th, 2024 at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am giving you permission to let go and be free of everything that's holding you down from the back to the playground when you were a kid. You got to let that
mm,
stuff go, baby, in order for you to grow and be able to focus on yourself as an individual. What I mean by that is focus on you. What are your goals? What are some things you want to do for yourself? And I know as parents, we get caught up in, we got to make sure baby girl is straight. We got to make sure our son is straight. But who's making sure you straight?
mm, mhm, mhm.
That house, and you're going to be lost in the sauce. I was this
Yeah.
close from being lost in the sauce, and I had the tools. I knew what to do,
Right.
but I
Mm,
still made sure baby girl was straight. And
mhm.
every goal that I set in my life has been made to ensure that it was beneficial to her livelihood. it's some things and some choices that you got to do to make sure your kid's straight.
Yeah.
And once they leave, you build on that. Focus
Mhm.
on yourself as an individual. Once those three things are done, you show up whole and imperfect, perfectly as a parent and the person that God has made you to be. And you have
Thank
to live so your next generation, you have to heal so your
you.
next generation. Until then, we're gonna be lost in the sauce, baby, and we can no longer do that. Time is up for that.
All
Love
right.
is foundation.
Okay. Awesome. I feel like I'm literally listening to you on a conference stage because I'm like, she is speaking to the crowd. I hear it. Okay. That is so true though. There are so many things that you shared, right? I believe that it definitely reached somebody who is listening at this time and who needed to hear that and needed to just be reminded, like you said, we struggle and we have the tools. That's the very
Right.
nature of the career. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Please tell us where people can find you, how they can connect with you and all that you're doing.
Okay. So I can be reached. I can be found at www.taishambryan.com. I am Taisha M. Bryant on all social media platforms. Um, you can actually come and see me on March 1st, 2025 here in Phoenix City, Alabama for our third annual Bounce Back Convention. It is going to be powerful. This year, our theme is Shut Up and Get Out of the Way. It is going to be good, and I'm so excited about that. And y'all, I love y'all because I can. There's nothing you can do about it. If you would like to donate to our nonprofit, you can find us on social media as well. We have a Purpose Incorporated. It will be 10 years, November the 4th, that We Have a Purpose has been founded. So I am excited as we're gearing up
Welcome.
towards that. And Miss Cookia, thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
this platform. I
Absolutely.
pray bless over your life. I pray that this platform catapults to the next level. And any and everybody that comes in contact with you will be blessed like no other. I pray an overflow for your clients that you see to be able to provide them the services, skills, and the tools they need for a better life. God bless you, my sister, and I
Thank
greatly appreciate.
you. Thank you so much. I thank you for that prayer. I thank you for the prayer for myself and for anyone who listens. It's always welcome. Prayer is always welcome so much. And this has been, I'm so thankful that you took the time. I know that everybody that does come is busy as we listen to everything that you all are doing for community, for yourself, marriage and mom and community and businesses and conferences, it means a lot. It means a lot. So I thank you so much and all the very best in what you're doing. I will make sure and everyone knows you can connect with Taisha right there all on our website. Everything will be there in case you missed anything, but you can always rewind. Like she said, Taisha N. Bryant on all social media platforms. And she will also on her platforms, I believe even at your website, you have all the information for everything you're doing. And then we will also have information listed on Christ in Private Practice. Again, thank you so much. And until next time.